Anna, you had said earlier, comment about education, that people can choose to send their kids elsewhere. We are an organization that firmly believes in education choice, and we've got a lot of kids in this state and others that are sentenced to underperforming schools solely by virtue of their zip code. We tell families in this Commonwealth, that's your school. We would never tell them that's your supermarket.
Yes.
Things catching up. I don't know.
Oh.
I was
He
gonna,
actually, you know,
I know I was going to run to the bathroom, but I thought finally he's going to stick it to Anna. He's going to say, listen, Anna, remember earlier when you said people could send their kids to private school, and then you talked about how people are too
he's not
poor
gonna
to
do that. Was it crazy?
Yeah, but this is the question to do that with.
This is a good, but I have to take it back. This is a good question to say.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Why are
This
people
guy's
locked
fucking
into
with our
their
emotions, man?
Why are people locked into their schools or not locked into their supermarkets or their post office or anything else?
Yeah. My thing
Explain.
fucked up, so I have to back it up a little.
Your doctor, that's solely by virtue of their zip code. We tell families in this Commonwealth, that's your school. We would never tell them that's your supermarket, that's your doctor, that's your dentist. You get to choose. And a lot of that, to be blunt, is because of the collective bargaining agreements with tenured teachers and how much you pay. Can we really get to educational choice? Because a lot of these parents can't afford to send their kids somewhere else. Can we really get to that real education choice given the current state of collective bargaining in this Commonwealth and in this country?
The last union that we haven't broken, right? Mark Blythe is right.
Well, it's sad because we do need unions, but like there's this corruption in a lot of these unions too.
I understand a tenured position in universities where people are doing research and stuff like that. I'm not sure I understand tenured positions in public school where
Right. No, I agree with you.
I mean, they're not saying anything that they should be just teaching the curriculum. A tenured teacher can teach Marxism. Like the tenured teachers are the ones going, I'll teach whatever I fucking want.
Are there I didn't even know that there was tenure for high school teachers.
He just said
literally only
he said tenure. Yeah, we can't fire these people because they have tenure.
Because that's crazy to me.
Hell yeah, it's crazy.
Something that
Why is Let's see here. What the hell?
Families in this Commonwealth, that's your school. We would never tell them that's your supermarket, that's your doctor, that's your dentist. You get to choose. And a lot of that, to be blunt, is because of the collective bargaining agreements with tenured teachers and how much you pay. Can we really get to educational choice? Because a lot of these parents can't afford to send their kids somewhere else. Can we really get to that real education choice given the current state of collective bargaining in this Commonwealth and in this country to a large degree?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say something that's incredibly unpopular with this group, and that's totally fine. The best education in the world currently takes place in Finland. They have the top education model, and they have completely banned private education. I would do the same.
Okay,
What?
so
Wait. I hate this argument's made by so many people on the left.
It's a complete fucking
What's the
talking
connection?
point. Yeah.
Why would banning private education magically make public education better?
I have no idea. She didn't explain the logic. She's like,
No,
this is what I would do, ban public education. Well, why, Anna? Finland did it. Well, yeah, you said that, but why did Finland do it? New York Times. It's like,
See, there's no argument. That was a terrible answer.
I know.
Oh
and
my
over
God.
to you, Ben.
This-
Look,
this is-
I said something. Over
This
to
is so
you.
funny because supposedly, like, all the Red Troopers were like, Anna Kasparian totally destroyed Ben Shapiro in this debate. Where? When does that hurt? When does that
I
occur?
know.
Like, what the fuck?
He said we have 4 minutes left. Where's the destruction come?
Well, we have longer than that, but Anna she hasn't said really much of stuff. She said a couple points. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll give her that. But she hasn't really said much of substance this entire conversation.
Hell no. Empty skirt.
Wow.
Do you disagree?
I disagree with you using such misogynist language.
Empty suit is,
Yes.
she's in a skirt instead of a suit.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. You fucking sexist pig.
I'll be right back.
First of all, Finland is the United States, and there's a frequent attempt that it does happen a lot, where people will take something that has worked in Sweden or something that has worked in Norway or something that has worked in Finland, and they'll say, what if we just take that, import it here, and it'll work exactly the same way? And it typically does not work. The fact is that Finnish Americans make more money in the United States than they do in Finland, for example. They have longer life expectancies in the United States than they do in Finland. It's true of Swedish Americans. It's true of Nordic Americans.
Life expectancy in Finland is much higher than the United States.
No, you're correct. Hold on.
It's only 78 years.
No,
which is, by the way, comparable to Cuba.
Anna,
78 years.
hold on a second. You're correct.
Did you come back? What happened? Maybe now that Adam's gone, I'm being plagued by the skips.
Correct. The life expectancy in Finland is longer than the life expectancy in the United States. That's not what I said. I said the life expectancy for Finnish Americans is longer in the United States. That is an apples-to-apples comparison as opposed to comparing completely different populations, and that's kind of my point.
Good point.
Okay, the fact is that the United States has an incredibly diverse population, and that diverse population encompasses an enormous number of people who have very different beliefs about how education ought to be done. To suggest that any national standard of education is going to not only please all of those people, but prove to be successful in such a wide variety of circumstances for some 330 million people. We've tried this with a radically increasing federal education budget over the course of the last 30 years, and what we've got is failing public schools all over the United States, except in specific local areas where there have been attempts to take back control locally. I'd love to see more localization, and frankly, I'm quite pleased that if COVID had one decent effect, it was more people taking their kids out of the public schools.
Okay, I want to.
So that's a really good response, and this comes up a lot. People constantly compare America, education, all these other things to all these European countries. And I mean, Ben's completely right. America's way more a diverse, heterogeneous country of many different cultures and a lot more different economic statuses together. And it doesn't make sense to kind of like take this giant group of very different people and then you average out that. And then you compare it to a country where things are a lot more homogenous culturally and financially. And then you average that and say, oh, their average is higher, so they must be doing something better in the field of education. It doesn't really logically make any sense.
Yeah. Just dump them all in the military school.
I'm fucking on board with that. Listen, you've heard my I said on stream.
You're on board with that?
I have a policy here.
I was joking. No,
Sitch's,
Montessori schools for them all.
Here's Sitch's policy prescription. Okay, you ready? You get this is the 3 strikes rule for kids. Okay, if you get expelled from 3 schools, mandatory military school.
Really?
Done.
Wow.
Yeah. You don't agree? What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do with these kids that have all these behavioral issues and you can't keep them in line?
Incarcerate them for life.
No, before you incarcerate them, you say you're going to mandatory military school. You gotta instill discipline in in a lot of kids that are fucked up.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Because the problem is, all that happens with a lot of these problem kids is that they just shift from school to school to school.
Yeah.
Until they find a school which is corrupt and where they basically say they literally tell the teacher, just give the kid D's so that they just get out of the system. Just get away from our school. Okay.
Not our problem anymore.
Not our problem anymore. Right.
Right.
And I'm saying no, just say 3 strikes and you go to military school.
Who was expelled 3 fucking times?
It happens.
That's crazy.
It happens.
I mean, I was only expelled once. How many times did you get?
Well,
I'm joking.
I mean
joking.
permanently. So when I say expelled, I mean permanently expelled. Like, not like you have outdoor suspension or something.
Yeah, I've only been suspended a couple times, but never.
Right.
Yeah. Saturday school a couple times.
Right. Well, I think if we did have a system of this, like you get expelled 3 times and then you go to military school, I think schools also would be a lot laxer. Like, because they have an incentive. Because right now a lot of schools have an incentive to not expel students. Because also, like, if they expel a student, they're losing funding, and that's another issue too. A lot of these schools are incentivized in a lot of these terrible behaviors,
right?
As opposed to incentivized to provide the best education for children and to basically ship the problem students off to military school.
Well, that's why people are against school choice, because they're like, our school would be liquidated immediately. This school's a piece of shit. No one would go to this school.
Well, I don't think that's. I think the left that's against school choice, they have this idea that, well, I think there's two things. They have this idea that if there's school choice, that all the middle class and rich parents are going to take their kids out of public school and put them in private schools, and then all the poor people will basically be fucked. And then the second thing is they think all the people are going to stick their kids in like religious private schools, so it's going to indoctrinate them, religiously.
Yeah.
I think those are their two arguments, which I don't think either of those arguments are good. I don't agree with either of those arguments. So
what is it that makes a school good, and is that scalable is the question for me, because if we do school choice, and obviously there are schools that are going to be better than other schools, is what makes that school better scalable? Is it like
No.
a type of, it's the
No.
instructors, it's like this school
No.
has better teachers?
I have kind of like a more black pill opinion on this. That's part of why I hate that movie Waiting for Superman. I don't think there is a scalable solution for schools. I don't think there's some magical way that teachers can behave and teach children that, makes all these failing schools become great. I think it's entirely dependent on the population of children that are going to these schools.
Wow.
I'm serious.
Wow.
You have
That's the
kids,
ultimate black pill.
but I think it's really true. You have kids that are coming from, middle class and upper families where their parents are pressuring them to do well at school. And you have, and to be fair, there's lots of parents in lower income situations that are pressuring their children to do well in school. Don't get me wrong. But you're more likely to have parents in those situations that are not pressuring their kids to do well in school. And so if a kid doesn't feel like, this is why Demon Mama's position was so batshit stupid in the school argument. If a kid doesn't feel some pressure from their parental authority figures to behave and do well in school, of course they're not going to behave and do well in school. Kids don't want to go to school. They want to fuck around. They want to play video games. They want to run around with their friends. They don't want to listen. They don't want to learn. There needs to be some force that they're afraid of. That's like, you have to do well in school. Otherwise, this will happen to you.
Yeah,
because the
parents have to be that force.
That's what I'm saying. The parents have to be that force.
Yeah.
But obviously parents aren't that. But with this situation, with a lot of schools, parents are failing at that role. So that's why I'm saying, well, then you have to have mandatory military school, because I don't know what the other alternative is.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I do think that the majority of the problems with quote problem schools in America is disciplinary problems. I don't think it's that they're just there's all these stupid teachers that are just so bad at teaching. Like those are too many crazy, leftists and people that are so high in the anti-teacher union stuff. They like see that movie where like the teacher, enters the impoverished school and they just like inspire everyone to become suddenly, academic superstars. That's not real.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a thing that happens. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this. It's not real.
This is bad because of the recent context with the academic agent videos and stuff, but people talk about the meaning crisis, and I always think it's not the meaning crisis, it's the authority crisis. Like there's a crisis of authority. People don't want to step up.
I think there's both of those things.
Yeah, there's a bunch of bullshit going on in schools, and nobody wants to say, hey, we need to fucking nut up and do this. No corporations want to nut up and say, we need to fucking not cancel people over a bunch of fucking Twitter nonsense.
True.
Like so many people need to take charge, take authority. People are so worried about, damaging their brand or their status or, they're going to be the next on the chopping block.
Right.
That it's just a terrible situation. We're like a house of cards now.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, look, I think there's a big meaning crisis for older people. I think when we're talking about children, I think children are way too focused on the present to have meaning crises for the most part.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
I think that's something that comes with age, that you have a meaning crisis. I think for kids, it's more like an authority crisis.
Well, I think not being in a positive relationship in your 20s can make you feel meaningless.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.